Welcome to the second video lecture on Unit 17 about organizational inclusiveness offered under the MS21 course Social Processes and Behavioral Issues. I'm your instructor in this video and I'm going to educate you on the concept of organizational inclusiveness. I'm Dr. Shalini Garg, Professor of Human Resource Management and HR related inclusive and accessible issues, currently employed with Department of Management, Guru Gobind Singh Indraprastha University, Delhi. Now in the previous video, which was the first video on organizational inclusiveness, we learned about the concept of diversity and how diversity has led to the adoption of the concept of inclusivity in the organizations and what are the benefits of an inclusive organization. So disability. It's important to talk about disability or persons with disability when we speak about or learn about the concept of inclusivity. Inclusion of persons with disability is of utmost importance and is a major theme in the Sustainable Development Goals 2030 of United Nations, where every goal is underlining the importance and relevance of inclusion of persons with disability. So before we talk about and learn about the inclusion of ways of including persons with disability, let's define disability. So the World Health Organization defines disability as follows. Disabilities are an umbrella term or is an umbrella term covering impairments, activity limitations and participation restrictions. Impairment is a problem in body function or structure. An activity limitation is a difficulty encountered by an individual in executing a task or action, while a participation restriction is a problem experienced by an individual in involvement in life situations. Thus, disability is a complex phenomena reflecting an interaction between features of a person's body and features of society in which he or she lives. So this has been aptly defined by World Health Organization. Now when we talk of inclusion of people with disabilities, let's understand that disability in an individual could be by birth or acquired through illness, accidents or as a part of natural aging process. Recruiting disabled persons is accepted and recognized as a part of corporate social responsibility and an essential element of inclusion for the diverse workforce. Companies should also focus and review their recruitment policies for differently abled people before their hiring, their accessibility or reaching office or workstation, washroom accessibility, navigational wheelchair or whichever assistive device they are using and ensure sensitivity of the other employees and orientation for them. Now let us also see what are the reasons for less job opportunities for persons with disability and why at all are we talking about increasing our efforts in including persons with disability. Number one, it is the mindsets of the employers. Employers' concerns about productivity, poor matches between the requirement of a job and the worker's abilities, poor matches between employee potential and job requirements and concerns about legal liability. So number one, employers feel that it comes as a legal compliance issue to them to be adjusting persons with disability, and they don't find a proper match between the requirements of the job and the abilities of the persons with disability. So I'm not saying that they are right in their approach. This is a general perception that they carry about persons with disability and their abilities. Now, what are the issues and challenges as far as inclusion of persons with disabilities in the workforce is concerned? Persons with disabilities have risk facing negative attitudes and lack of access to proper education, transportation and financial resources. They are often in danger of living out a negative cycle wherein the low expectations from them are in danger of becoming self-fulfilling prophecies. Further, inadequate access to education and training is also a very big challenge. The educational institutions are not disabled friendly, not many of them, and it becomes difficult to navigate within premises. So you try to project that as a university or as an educational institution, you are being inclusive as you are inviting students from disabled community also to be applying to your organization, and they apply too in large numbers and they get admission also. But do you really care that whether you have the right kind of facilities in order to make the work more easy or the access more easy for persons with disability? No. Also, in the absence of special teaching methodology, it can become difficult to keep up with the learning pace of other students in the class. As a result, the entire learning experience becomes extremely challenging and the likelihood of dropping out also increases. Now, social and psychological barriers. There may be prejudice and stereotyping about the capabilities of the disabled. The disabled persons may himself or herself experience low self-esteem and lack of confidence in their capabilities. Sometimes overprotective families are not willing to allow them to venture out, thereby adding to the lack of confidence. Also, at the workplace, acceptance from the fellow workers is also low. Not to mention about workplace bullying. Also, discrimination in hiring and promotion by employers. They may be hired, that means persons with disability may be hired at lower paying jobs or may even be offered lower payment for the same work. They may be expected to work on lower positions and in poor working conditions. In the absence of limited bargaining power or negotiation, the disabled may be compelled to accept these terms. Also, promotional avenues may not be very much available to them because of attitudinal and perceptual barriers on the part of the employers. Now, let's talk about inadequate accessibility to workplace. Now, accessibility as a concept is understood to be applied to the persons with disability, but in my view, accessibility is talking about access of every individual to the workplace, right? So when we talk of persons with disability, inadequate accessibility to the workplace is one of the very, very important reasons for their less representation in the workforce. Now, lack of adequate and appropriate public transport facilities to the workplace may pose a major challenge for the disabled. The workplace design may not be adequately sensitive to the needs of the disabled. Although the law requires employers that workplaces are disabled friendly, the compliance may not be forthcoming in the letter and spirit. Now, which are the other barriers faced by disabled job seekers? Number one, physical and communication barriers, which include number one, transport, inaccessible public transport or lack of car parking at work. This can be a significant barrier for people who are visually or physically impaired. Physical barriers, if we talk about, then they include access to the building and facilities, which becomes an important issue for people with mobility and visual impairments. Accessibility of information for people who are vision, learning or hearing impaired is another prominent barrier, because as we all know that disability is not only about what is visible, and it is not only about physical aspects of the body of an individual. It can be intellectual also, and most of the times it can be invisible also. So you just can't be talking about accessibility by providing ramps or handrails or lifts, thinking that you have catered to the accessibility of persons with disability. You have to adopt a holistic approach, taking into consideration various other kinds of disabilities. So when we talk of accessibility of information, it includes lack of specialized equipments and low vision aids, specialized training to use this equipment, and the availability of sign language interpreters for interviews, training and meetings. Now, other barriers faced by disabled job seekers include no awareness for the job vacancy due to lack of information regarding mode of advertisement. Inaccessible online job boards is a reason for disabled persons not being able to see it. The application process being inaccessible, that is, no suitable formats in the application forms. Nowadays, if we talk about online job application forms, then we do have, accessible features being offered by Google and other search engines or portals. Now, the interview venue being inaccessible also is a very big barrier. And this includes infrastructure related barriers such as ramps, lifts, restrooms, uncluttered office setup for disabled persons. Now, there are certain historical barriers also, and which can include the disabled candidate may have not had the same opportunities in terms of education, work experience, or opportunities for training as compared to other non-disabled candidates. Now, also, prejudice by employers may mean the candidate has not been offered remuneration and designation as high as they were capable of, ignoring their true potential. So this has been going on since ages, so it should go on with this particular person with disability come under the historical barriers where we are not ready to change and we keep on taking precedence of the past. Let's talk about attitudinal barriers in employers, and which can include number 1, attitudes. Employers' lack of disability awareness and negative and stereotypical attitudes towards disability is one of the most important attitudinal barrier. In some workplaces, employees with disabilities have been segregated from colleagues and customers. Interviewers' lack of expectations and focus on person's impairment rather than on their skills and abilities. Very important. So if you are going for an interview, you are going to organize an interview which is going to have persons with disability, please appoint such interviewers who are more sensitive to the skills and abilities rather than the person's impairment. Now, the colleagues' lack of understanding and flexibility is also one of the barriers. In some cases, workers with impairments have been shunned and harassed and bullied. Public perceptions focusing on impairments rather than ability is also one of the important barriers over here. Let's talk about stereotypes. The perceptions that people with disabilities are more likely to have accidents and be less productive is a very widely known stereotype about persons with disability. The low expectations of the people supporting the people with disabilities in finding work, or they may stress the moral and legal obligations of employing people rather than benefits and skills of people with disability. A confound perception by employer that somehow disabled applicants will not perform as good as non-disabled applicants is a stereotype. Employers are surrounded by myth and a wrong belief that disabled persons are less productive, take more sick-offs, won't stay in job for a long time, might be a health and safety hazard in employing such people, etc. These are proven myths and are far off from reality. The fear amongst the employers that employing disabled persons will be expensive and increase their cost in making changes in the workplace is also an important barrier. The reality is they only have to make few reasonable adjustments in their workspaces, which costs very minimum and very easily recovered from the average productivity of disabled workers. Now here I would like to add on that on one hand we say that very less reasonable adjustments would be required at minimum possible costs. But if we are referring to certain artificial intelligence born softwares, backed softwares or highly specialized assistive technologies, then they prove to be expensive, but not as expensive, if you are looking at the wide array of benefits that you get by employing the persons with disabilities. So the organizations should not hesitate in making such a kind of an investment also if they feel that buying or purchasing an important software or an assistive technology tool can enable a person with disability to perform in a much better way. There is also a lack of information and understanding amongst employers regarding available assistive technologies in the market. Lack of confidence in employing and managing disabled people amongst managers. Then they being surrounded by fear of mistakes or looking for easy mode of training, etc. Also, workplace policies and procedures can also turn out to be very big barriers for persons with disability. Number one, inadequate recruitment and selection procedures. Recruitment agencies imposing selection bias even though an employer may promote an inclusive environment. Lack of awareness of the funding and workplace disability to support employees as well as the employers. Lack of flexibility around hours worked. Lack of flexibility to work part-time. Restrictive work practices which are impossible for people with some impairments to observe. Support for employed people who acquire impairment. Lack of policy support. Talk about education and training. Unequal access to education and training resulting in a relative lack of employable skills. Then, lack of previous experience. Adequate housing, education and access to support are all interrelated with employment. It is not possible to look for work if you do not have adequate and reliable support at home. Let's talk about attitudinal barriers from disabled applicants, which can include disabled candidates may have lack of confidence due to rejection they may have faced many times on applying for job before due to their disability. Fear of discrimination, not being offered appropriate support, lack of confidence due to upbringing in society that equates disabled with not good as other could be some of the attitudinal barriers. So let's talk about creating inclusive and accessible workplaces for inclusion of persons with disability having special needs. Up till now, we were talking about what are the disability related challenges that lead to non-inclusion of persons with disability in the workplace. Now let's talk about what could be those practices which are inclusive and accessible and can make the organization more welcoming. Number one, inclusive practices. A separate training for the persons with disability and a feedback to ensure their understanding must be done by the HR department. For hearing impairments, an alternate communication via sign language interpreters should be arranged. For vision impairments, relevant visual material along with elements for providing verbal explanations of the same should be accessible. For a person with cerebral palsy who has a speech impairment, inclusion could be done by giving them time and space to speak at his pace and taking conscious efforts to understand what is said by paraphrasing or asking the persons to repeat. Disability awareness workshops should be arranged in the company that makes all employees inclusive. Providing flexibility options like work from home or flexible work timings to accommodate persons with disability are some of the practices. Also, developing an inclusive attitude is an important prerequisite for developing an inclusive and accessible workplace. Respecting the employee with disability and understanding what is the present level of skills and education amongst them and what is the gap in terms of acquiring advanced skills in terms of being more productive at the workplace. Helping him or her to enable with the work environment, never dismissing a person just because of their disability. Secondly, always assign equal responsibility and accountability for their performance as compared to non-disabled workers. Implement inclusive practices and policies in the work environment. Effectively engaging employees with discussions regarding disability issues. Training to employees to enhance their understanding level and correct misconceptions about disability. Behavioral training regarding disability etiquettes, tips on interacting with people of disabilities is also very important. Now, let's talk about inclusive policies. Now, policy formulation can be done After, plan for a reasonable accommodation as part of the overall budget to meet the requirements of disabled employees. Alternative formats of communicative materials for visually impaired to read, e-formats or braille formats as job application forms and policies manuals should be included. Inclusive environment is important as well, providing access for a disabled individual applicant to participate in the job application process, creating an accessible work premise with all necessary equipments and facilities for persons with disability, always conducting meetings in accessible places amongst interpreters for verbally and visually impaired employees who can explain them the proceedings. This can create inclusion for persons with disability. Inclusive infrastructure in terms of ramps, lifts and restrooms in the office building should be accessible. Office setup should be well organized and uncluttered so that visually impaired persons find it comfortable to walk around and access the resources. An accessible workplace has its benefits. Let's understand. An accessible workplace increases productivity amongst workers and helps in optimum utilization of job candidates with disabilities. It creates a workplace culture of inclusiveness. It boosts morale and loyalty of other staff by creating committed, diverse workforce. An accessible workplace for creating job opportunities for disabled people enhances company's image amongst its customers, community and suppliers. So here is a list of suggested readings for you. Robbins and Luthans are very important in terms of understanding the nuances of human behavior. This is important because if you will be developing a knack of understanding human behavior, then it doesn't matter to you whether you are dealing with a person with disability or a different gender or a person of different age or any other person. There's also a special mention of my book authored in 2019, which talks about HR initiatives in building inclusive and accessible workplaces, published by Emerald Publishing UK. This has some very good references, role plays and exercises, and a training manual as well for developing an inclusive and accessible workplace. These are some of the references which can be referred to, but I would also advise referring to the last 5 years of research work, developments and reports in the area to update yourself on the concept of inclusivity.